Today's lecture is on geolocation, so we're going to show how we use some of the objects in the HTML DOM to find out the location of a user or their computer and what we can do with those things. Okay, so most modern devices have some way of getting location coordinates. We're talking latitude and longitude. Phones, tablets, things that are designed to be mobile can use GPS, and desktop and laptops often aren't built in with that sort of location detection, but if they aren't, they can always get location of the internet service provider, the company that's giving them access to the internet. And that's not as accurate, but it's still better than nothing. Finding the location requires using a DOM element called getCurrentPosition, which is part of navigator.geolocation. So you use it just like this in your code, and it makes a call that's asynchronous. That is, it makes the call and then lets your program continue executing. But then it uses callbacks in order to complete the task. So the way you'll actually do it is you'll have call or get current position and then put in two method names or two function names that will call the first one if it's successful and the second one if it's an error. And then you can handle the errors if the location's not supported or if there's an error. Alright, let's look at a quick example. In this example, I first of all use the object geolocation inside of this if statement to make sure that it actually exists, and then if it does, then I call that getCurrentPosition, put in the two function names, one if it's found and the other one if it's not. And if this is not actually an object, then we just give it a message that says it's not supported. If it's found, then I use this method where the parameter represents an object that contains the coordinates, the actual coordinates. So here I can set the HTML element that represents the latitude to this currentPosition.chords.latitude, and then I do the same thing with the longitude. So whatever this object is, .chords, .latitude, or .longitude to get those statistics out of there. And then of course if it's if there's an error in there, then I can pass in another parameter which contains error information, and so then I can display that on the screen or on the window with this e.message that gives us a little bit of information about what that message actually is. Okay, that's all there is to that. So let's move on to another thing that we can do with location that's kind of fun. This is using the Google Map API. Now I'm just showing you a very simple thing that we can do with this. If you want to get more complicated, you can read up on the Google Map API and make your own maps on your website, but this is just something simple to kind of get you started. What this does is we put a URL in for the source of an image, and so it goes out to Google to get the source for that image, and then Google will actually create the map based on the arguments that you give it. The arguments that I'm going to give it are the center of the map, and it wants to know that by a comma delimited string. So it's going to put latitude and then have comma and then longitude. So that's the very first thing I'm doing in here with this variable latlon up at the top, and then I create the URL, which is just maps.googleapis.com, and then the rest of this gives it the name of the method that it's calling to pass this information to, and put in the center, and then I put in that variable latlon, and then just some other information about the size of the map that I want it to be and so forth, and then put it in into this image, and it shows up on the screen, which is pretty remarkable. Okay, to show you a quick example of that, this is the homework that'll be assigned this time, and you can read that, but at the very end here I've got this map that shows you, and you can see that Fa Ionium was right in the middle of this map. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. These last two things I'm going to talk about are actually going to help you with the assignment. So doing a distance calculation, what I would do is I would look up an internet site that helps you calculate the distance between 2 points. Do a real quick Google search. One that you might find handy is this one here from Mobile Type, and it actually has some JavaScript code in there, which is really helpful for you guys. And when you look at it, make sure that you got the units right. You may have meters or something else other than kilometers, so make sure you get it switched to kilometers. Finally, the last thing that I want to tell you about is I'm going to ask you to sort an array of objects in the homework. So this is not nearly as difficult as it seems. There are sort functions that are built into JavaScript, like there are in other languages, and to do it for an array of objects, the important thing is to create a compare function. So you have to create a function called compare, and then it just takes two parameters, and these two parameters will be objects of the class, or the type of objects that you have in your array, and then just put in the logic in here to have it return a negative number, a positive number, or 0, depending on if the first one comes before the second one, then return a -1, and if the first one comes after the second one, in this case less than and greater than are what we use, then return a +1, otherwise return 0, meaning that they're equal. And the reason I say comes before is that you could be using this for strings or other things. You just have to develop your own compare method here. Then what you do is you call the name of your array. In this case, let's call it objs, and then just dot sort and pass it this method, or pass it that function, and it will do the sorting for you automatically. The only thing that's important is that you won't run into a problem with this compare function. You're not using things in here that don't belong to the objects in that array. Okay, so that's it. All this is posted on the website now, so you can take a look at the PowerPoints that I put out and start working on the homework. If you have any questions, send me an email.